Hello, so today I'm talking about how to choose the perfect paint color. And so I've been working with color for a long time, basically, ever since, you know, high school, probably, when I took a painting class. But it's where I start learning about color theory and things like that. And I actually don't think I took a color theory course in college, but I'll say that where I did learn the most about selecting paint colors was from doing model homes for several years when I worked for a model home designer, and we would do many houses within a year. Like one year we did 21 houses, I think I mentioned before. So we're picking everything top to bottom, and especially the color schemes. And so it was a good laboratory to learn about seeing the paint on the wall as opposed to when you look at it on your fan deck, which I got right here I'm going to be talking about in a minute. Color has so many subtleties to it, as you know, and which is one of the reasons why a lot of people just skip it and they decide to call us for our paint consultation, which you can find on our website at rwarddesign.com. We've got a description of our 1-hour paint consultation where we can come out and select all the colors that you will need along with the sheen levels and just hand that off to your painter and make it easy for you. And I will say that we have just a wonderful track record for selecting paint. We've hardly, maybe just one time, had someone ask us to change the color. But for the most part, I've always been happy with the paints that we select for our clients, and then even just with the paint consult. So we don't always get the follow-ups on the paint consultations, but we don't have any complaints either. And so once in a while we do, and people will email us, which is great because we love to hear that feedback that, oh yes, this paint just changed the whole look of the house. And it really is an inexpensive way to update and refresh your house. And even at our, we had a client presentation a couple days ago, and we went over all the details because we presented, all the costs of the entire project. He's remodeling his master bedroom and guest room. And so we're going to be repainting and doing accent headboard wall in each room. And so he's looking at the cost of the paint relative to the rest of the project. And he's like, wow, it really is an inexpensive refresh, a way to refresh the room, but it makes such an impact, as he could tell with the other parts of the house that we've done before. So that being said, paint is really important, and it is important to do it correctly the first time, because if you are hiring a painter to paint your house, it could be several $1,000s, and you don't want to hate that paint color and have to redo it again. But so I will say that it is good to have a professional select your paint colors, but if you choose to do it yourself, I will demonstrate how I typically go about it. Now, I pretty much have to work off of a paint fan deck, which is what this thing is, because I like to see how the colors correlate to each other within the fan deck, because as you move through it, you'll either get warmer or cooler, and it's easy to compare the color of one strip to the strip in front of it and the strip behind it to see if it's warmer or cooler. So that's a way to train your eye to see the subtleties that are coming through in that paint color. What doesn't work very well for me is when people, go to a paint store like Home Depot or whatever, and they pick up a bunch of cards and they just kind of throw them out on the table. Like, oh, here's some colors I've been looking at. And I'm less confident selecting out of that pile of just paint cards that have no correlation to each other than I am looking at this fan deck that does have a correlation. So if you can get your hands on one of these, and most paint stores do have them in the store, you could borrow it, or I don't know if they might be able to give it to you for free, or you might purchase one, but I think it's worthy investment. And so you'll see it looks like this. So this is Dunn Edwards paints, which is what we typically use. It's what our painter, who is amazing, He loves Dunn Edwards paints and just thinks the quality is good, the cover's good, the color stays and is always true to the original color that we select. So that's what I typically work with. So as I work with this fan deck more and more, there's strips that have, have been folded over and just look very well loved and used. So I get to know what my favorite colors are. So as you see, as you're looking at this fan deck, I pretty much skip this whole first part here. These are all going to be very saturated colors, very bright. Few of them are tempered with a gray or brown or a black. And so I will normally stay away from this unless I'm looking for some kind of brighter accent wall or something like that. Maybe for a kid's room or, but generally for the rest of the house, I like to keep it a little more sophisticated because that way it has longevity. The color, if it has some browns and grays that are tempering that bright color, it's much easier to live with over a long period of time. Whereas you can get tired really easily of these brighter colors up front. So, someone's like, oh, I love orange, I'm going to paint my room orange. Well, this is like, almost glow in the dark orange. And so that's just going to be something that you're going to have for a year. And then you're like, I can't stand this room. I don't like the way it makes me feel, which is another thing to consider. Like, I'm very sensitive to the way color makes me feel in a space. And, I think about it all different times of day, to different light coming in the window. What is the light source? If there's a lot of natural light, if there's just, just overhead light or accent lighting, then you got to consider that too and how it's going to play with the paint color, because it's going to look different all throughout the day. And, when the sun's setting and you haven't turned on your lights yet, but it's starting to get dark in the house, like, is that going to make you feel depressed, or is it still going to give you life and inspiration to move on to the rest of your day? So that's something to consider. So I will typically stay within these. And right now we're doing a lot of grayish colors because it's a warm gray, which is very popular right now. It's really easy to live with. It looks great with a nice crisp white trim color. Now, a lot of different designers will have theories or preferences on what they like to do. I almost always will paint the baseboards and trim and doors and ceiling white, as bright as I can. And typically my painter will say it has to have a little bit of yellow in it just so that it covers really much easier. But I almost like those blue-white, really crisp, so that it contrasts nicely with your paint color, even if it's light and subtle. Which lately most people want to have a version of white in their houses, and so usually I'll go with a really white trim and then a soft white on the walls. That's maybe a grayish as well. So I'm in this color, typically not doing purples. I don't like purple grays. I just don't like the way they make me feel unless I'm looking for like a mauve or something like that. So most of the time it'll come with a greenish undertone or blue. We do a lot of blues. If you've ever looked at my website or been a client of mine, blue is in almost every project. And I love blue because I love the ocean, I love being outside, I love natural light, and there's so much blue that comes through and all of that, and it just is a peaceful color, very calming and soothing. It's great to have in a bedroom, and it's just typically what people are seeking nowadays when we have such busy, stressful lives. We want to come home, and it's just something soothing and peaceful to come home to. So it's great for a bedroom, and oftentimes the blues themselves won't have purple in them either, because that's 9 times out of 10 when a client is picking a blue color, it will be very purple, and I don't know why. And so I will typically steer them towards a more green blue, and green is actually a neutral color as well. So greens are great. I don't do a lot of greens except for in the gray greens. And then there's this section in the back too, which is like a favorites section. Also, this is a historical color section, so we've been using that a lot with like mid-century moderns. But most of these ones in the back are typically tempered with some kind of gray or brown and can fit easily, even though they have a stronger hue, that they can still fit with the rest of the house. And so then, yeah, here, so we got classic colors. So it's a lot of creamies, grays, some pinks, some greens, a little bit of blue. But most of the time I am recommending, my favorite throughout wall color is Crystal Haze from Dunn Edwards, and with Whisper trim. So if you want to know my secret, that's, half the time my go-to color. Now my house actually that I live in right now was painted right before we moved in, so I haven't painted anything, and it's all Swiss coffee, which is a pretty yellow white, and so it kind of bothers me a little bit. So I know it's going to get changed, but I do like having white walls. My previous home, I had painted every single wall either blue or gray, and except for the hallway was white, but is a smaller house, and so this house I just haven't gotten around to painting anything. My daughter does want her room painted purple color, so we'll probably work on that sometime within the next year to help her personalize her room, and I'll have her help with that process because she wants to be a designer in training, so I'm going to teach her how to use the color wheel and select a color that maybe she can live with for a few years. But if this sounds too difficult for you, then of course you can always call me, and I'm more than happy to come out and select the right paint color for you on the interior as well as the exterior. And so that's how I do it. And if you have any questions, I'd love to have comments from you below, and I look forward to talking to you again.